Let's get this started. Oh, this is my SGDQ submission video for Airboat%. So this is a kind of almost a meme category for Portal, but it is actually a really fun run. I just want to preface this before we start the video. This is my world record run in 1629. I want to preface this with what Airboat% is. Basically, airboats are vehicles in Half-Life 2, and since Portal's on the same engine, we can access them and spawn them instead of picking up the portal gun through the game. So with that, let's start this up. So this first room is going to be very quick. This trick used to be really inconsistent, but it's much better now. Within like a few quick saves, we can get it. Basically, spawn an airboat up there, and no matter whatever way we get up there with an airboat or by some other means, we clip up into the elevator in chamber 01. So this skips the entirety of the first of the vault. So we don't have to wait for that. We don't have to wait for the elevator between chamber 00 and 01, and we can just go straight to chamber 2 here. So what I do here is I do a quick save, and then I delete both the quick save and auto save for chamber 02. And then by reloading, what I do is the game doesn't have a save to load from, and it'll just load us back into this chamber. So we just did some pretty simple clips through the walls. Airboats will allow us to, put an airboat in a wall, and then it'll clip us through in some pretty interesting ways. What you saw me do there was a elevator clip. It's done on pretty much every elevator in the game. And basically, you get in the elevator, you put an airboat in the elevator, you get in the airboat, you get out, and it'll put you on the top of the elevator. It saves like a second and a half each time you do it. So chamber 2 and 3 went by really quickly. I just want to explain, in chamber 3 you saw horizontal airboat boosts. And what those are is, by spawning a bunch of airboats in front of you, it'll give you a bunch of velocity because the airboats will push you back. And that's done a lot in the run. Another way that's utilized is through vertical airboat boosts, and that's used a little bit later for some pretty cool effects. So you saw me in chamber 4 do a door clip. And this is kind of like the same idea. Basically, if you spawn an airboat in like a wall or a door, you can get in the airboat and kind of just clip through it. Do another elevator clip here. So coming up, this because you have to be in the elevator when GLaDOS stops speaking for it to actually start moving, and that I've made that mistake too many times. So 6 and 7 has some more horizontal airboat boosting. It can be really quick. If you do it just right, you can get directly into the elevator, and it's faster than even doing the elevator clip. So we have 3 more chambers with horizontal airboat boosting, and they're really fast. Like at this point, just a lot of the run is waiting in elevators. There is technically a way you can get up to the top, but you still have to wait for the elevator to come up for the load anyway. So chamber 8. I think, and I don't know about this, I have no idea if ABH over goo, which is a trick that's done in inbounds and I believe out of bounds, is faster than doing the airboats, but the airboats are just so much more fun. So this category used to be a lot harder and a lot more frustrating. Recently, at least since SGDQ submissions, we have started running on a very specific build of this game. This build allows us to move out of bounds much more freely and allows for a few new skips. Specifically in chamber 15 and chamber 19, it allows us to skip a big portion of the game. And also, you'll see in between chamber 11 and 12, there's a cool new trick. So this was just unfortunate. If you do that right, you can boost straight through the door. A lot of And I wouldn't say it's really RNG. It's a lot of just execution, spawning the right number of airboats in the right spot. So Chamber 11 and 12 get kind of crazy with the clips and the boosts. Um, you'll see me basically immediately just clip out here. And then we're going to get on top and clip through another wall into out of bounds, which I believe this is the first real out of bounds section. So I'm going to get out of the airboat, and then we're going to spawn in another one into the bottom of Chamber 12. We used to have to clip an airboat into the elevator, which was very inconsistent. But with that strat, we skipped that. Also, it has some vertical airboats boosts there, which that was really good. Basically the same idea as horizontal airboat boosting, but I'd say it's a little trickier. Had a little bit of trouble getting through that door, but not really that much of a problem. Just a few seconds. Alright, Chamber... I was a little frustrated there. Chamber 13 is a pretty straightforward. Chamber 13 and 14 are pretty straightforward. Just get to the end. Just 2 clips in 13 here. Pretty easy setups. As this category has grown, the strats have just gotten so much more consistent and so much easier. Chamber 13 used to be so frustrating to do because it was like get on top of an airboat, and standing on top of airboats is so inconsistent, so just sketchy. So Chamber 14, I believe, is the fastest chamber in the game. If done fast. I don't know if I get... But if you boost directly into the elevator, almost like that, the whole chamber is like 16, maybe even 15 seconds if you do it fast enough. So Chamber 15 is fun and also frustrating at the same time, and you'll see why it's frustrating in just a second here. So you have some fun horizontal boosts. You have to get a little bit of height on those to get over the barrier. A little bit of ABHing, which is some movement. Basically, if you hop backwards, you can gain speed as you go. So this is one of the skips that is we can now do with this build of the game. What we used to have to do is go through the area with the goo, and that was very bad because airboats is frustrating to get through there. So this strat is kind of hard. You basically have to get enough of a height boost to get a vertical airboat boost in order to get onto the platform. It's a very tricky skip and commonly loses me runs, but it's not that bad. So here's another spot where we can clip out and move around. And even in this version of the game where you have pretty free movement out of bounds, it's still kind of restricting. The game kind of crouches you a lot, and crouching is just a lot slower. So it's a lot of just kind of jumping around and hoping that the game doesn't crouch. You can also uncrouch by like walking off of an edge and then walking back on, and it will uncrouch you. But it's out of bounds movement can be difficult. There's also an out of bounds skip here. I don't like doing it because I don't think it's very much faster and it's a lot harder. Chamber 17, when this category was like originally routed, was like the most inconsistent chamber because of this skip. But now we have a setup for it. It took way too long to find that setup. So Chamber 18, I always call it the gatekeeper of runs, for the main reason that it's very difficult. I believe I had a pretty good 18 here. So we start off, we just have to get over to... just to, get up. So once we're up here, what we're going to do is we're going to get on a windowsill. Right up here. And now we're going to clip into this wall. Now this wall has the hallway into the final area of this chamber. We used to go around and then clip through the door, but that was inconsistent. If you ABH too well there, you actually just fall into the goop. And then we do some vertical airboat boosts, which is... that was really good. That boost up to that final platform was, while I was like still not great at this category, was the bane of my existence. It's very difficult. In the end of Chamber 18 is another example of having to be in the elevator before it moves. So Chamber 19 is it has, I believe, the second newest skip in the game. This one I didn't get incredibly fast, but this is difficult. I accidentally spawned an airboat here also. That happens sometimes when you have airboat and jumps bound to scroll wheel. So basically what we do here is we're going to clip into the goop here and hope that we can get out and get to the ramp there. If done first try, this saves about 20 seconds. This wasn't very fast, but still got it in a reasonable amount of time. This, I mean, if I can find a better setup for this, it would be a lot better, but it's still fairly new. We just do an airboat boost up there. Now we're gonna kind of move while out of bounds. We used to stay in the airboat when we did this, because the airboats can move out of bounds. But now we can get out and just ABH over to the end. If you do it well enough, you can actually ABH over to the top of the area, or top of like where the loading zone is, and you don't have to do this trick right here where you clip an airboat in. Would save a little bit of time. Also, just ABHing is fast in general. So, Escape Zero was really bad when this category was first a thing, because we didn't have the out-of-bounds skips that we'd have now. It used to involve like airboat boosting in like the chamber with all the pistons, and it was horrible. The frame rate would drop to like 10, 15, FPS, and that just makes it so much harder to do airboat boosts. This trick is quite tricky. We're gonna do an airboat boost all the way up to the top of here. Got it pretty quickly. And this trick originally was very difficult. You kind of have to get a good feel for it. So your airboat boost up here, and now we're gonna clip into one of the last areas of this chamber, or this area. So unfortunately, I kind of got stuck there. Spawned the airboat a little bit too far to the right. So then once we get in here, we're going to what the setup that I use for it is I just want to get the airboat out of the wall and get on top of it, and then do an airboat boost over there. So EO1 has another quite difficult skip. It's very, very hard to do. Basically what you want to do is from these pistons jump all the way up to that pipe. This pipe will allow us to clip out of bounds and just kind of walk over to the end of the map. Now, this is what I'd say is probably the hardest out of bounds section in the game, because of just how much it crouches you and just the geometry of out of bounds. Because of the lights here, the lights have this, little cylinder popping out of the ceiling. And you have to kind of use it to get up to other places, and you're crouched a lot. And if you're crouched in certain areas, you just can't keep going. You can't, like, progress. Like right there, I needed to stand up. So, in EO2, last level of the game, there's the newest skip in the game, which shaves off like 30, 45 seconds. And basically, what I did was if you know in inbounds and out of bounds, what you'll do for the GLaDOS fight is you get a turret, and you get the turret up to GLaDOS' chamber right outside, and then you use a turret to damage GLaDOS. Now, that's a lot harder in this category because we don't have the portal gun. We can't like just bring it up there. So what I found was that you can just airboat boost while you're holding a turret. So the question is where you get a turret, and I'll see here in a second. This one's a little hard. Sometimes it kills you because of, it hits you against a wall. With these airboat boosts, you have to jump when you get the boost to get some height. So if you go over here, you have the 2 turrets that we use in inbounds. I'm going to just move that turret because that will kill me when I'm walking away from it. Technically would be a little bit faster to ABH here, but I don't trust myself not to fall off. So this is difficult because you have to arrow boost and keep holding the turret at the same time. And I got it really, really fast there. So now we just have to use it to damage GLaDOS. This made the fight so much easier and quicker. Because before we had to like wait for GLaDOS to keep talking over and wait for all of that, but we don't have to do that anymore because just damage her. Now I take a chair here. Chair strat is really nice because you can get multiple cores into the incinerator in one like incinerator press. If you're good, you can get them all, but that's very difficult. So we're just gonna like boost up to all the cores. This wasn't. I don't believe this is as incredibly fast. And for some reason, I found it much easier to get this core after finding this skip, and I believe that's just because there's less airboats that are lagging the game. So we're gonna put the core on top of that chair, and it'll fall into the incinerator when we open it. If you place the chair well, you can actually get 2 cores on the chair to fall into the incinerator at once. But it's kind of finicky, so I don't do it all the time. Then we have to boost up to the top here and grab the remaining 2 cores, and then we are done. Got stuck on the airboats a little bit here. So yeah, this is a really fun category. I enjoy it a lot. Gonna be submitting this as a race with Connor Ace, who also runs a category. Unfortunately, here I didn't get all 4 of them. Yeah, and Ace has generally better movement than I do in this game. This is unfortunate. Yeah, it's a really fun category, and I hope you guys accept it for SGDQ.